Hi, welcome to Raw TV, Real and Willing Television. I'm Jacob Kelly.
And I'm Rebecca Vargas.
How are you guys doing this week? Rebecca, you look wonderful this week. I saw your pictures
sweet.
from the wedding. She was in
yeah,
a wedding.
I was in a wedding over the
Why don't you
weekend.
tell us about that?
I loved it. It was
Really?
awesome.
Whose wedding was it?
It was my best friend's.
Your best
my
friend?
It was my first wedding, the first best friend to get married, because it's that time, you know,
Mm-hmm.
we're in the 20s and everybody's getting married. And you get this feeling of like love after.
Yeah.
You know,
A
you're
lot
just
of
like,
people are getting married
oh,
now.
I want to get married, and then it dies down.
Yeah.
But you know, our co-host, or not our co-host, one of our hosts, Candace, our Word on the Street host, is engaged.
She just got engaged.
And she has, her engagement video has 3,000 hits on
It's
YouTube.
crazy. I haven't even gotten to look at it yet. I feel like I should have been the
haven't?
first one to look at it or
It's
something like
super
that. I'm sorry,
cute.
Candace.
It's really cute.
It was. He wrote her a song and everything. That's what I've
It was so sweet.
heard because I still haven't listened to it.
Go
but
Candace.
Yeah,
So-
it does get you in this mood definitely for like love because I remember like
Yeah.
recently one of my close friends he had a wedding and it's my first time ever being a groomsman and so he got all the groomsmen toms so I got a pair of free toms out of it.
Yeah, they give you such good gifts.
I know.
I got like a monogrammed bag. I got a monogrammed robe. It was just
Yeah.
really nice.
It
I
was-
really like that. Those
It's
are
a good
perks.
setting.
You know?
I like it. I know whenever I got done with mine, I like started like Googling like, oh, if I want to get married, what do I want to do? And I saw this awesome picture of like it was like a row of groomsmen, and behind was the what is it?
The bridesmaids?
Bridesmaids, and they were all like ripping open like the men's shirt, and they all had like a superheroes like
That's
emblem on it. It was
cute.
the coolest thing
I
in
like
the world.
that. I like
Yeah.
that a lot.
Have you even thought about what you want to do for your wedding?
Well, you know this thing called Pinterest? I don't know if you're on Pinterest,
Pinterest is fun.
but I'm obsessed.
I
have a pin board that's a wedding pin board. And you just pick, and it gives you so many ideas. It really does. I don't know how people did it without it to get creative
I've actually
ideas.
seen that same
but
idea
it's
a couple
really,
times
really
now.
cute. I love it. And my friend got a lot of ideas from Pinterest.
Yeah,
I think
I
it's
just tried to
helpful.
get on Pinterest. It turns out they have a waiting list in order to get like a membership with that.
Oh, I kind of feel special now.
Yeah, like I feel because I got an email. They're like, "We'll send you an email," and so like I looked at my email. I was like, "How do I get on?" And there's a waiting list, and I was like,
You know what? I'll send you one.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
get you on
I already.
there.
Is that all it takes? It's just an invite.
Yeah, I don't
like
know.
that?
Maybe from someone that's on the
don't even
inside.
know.
But you know, one thing I learned about weddings, there's so much that goes into them. It really is. It's like one of the most stressful things I've ever experienced
know.
in my whole life. Like the bride was telling her sister what she wanted her photos to be of that day, like while she was in the shower getting ready, the day of.
Wow.
I'm like, you just forget like little things that you don't expect to forget.
my
So I don't
goodness.
know. I have to figure out a way. Maybe I'll need a wedding planner.
Yeah, I think honestly,
I don't know.
my favorite chick flick by far is 27 Dresses. I'll be honest. It is by
That's
far
really
my favorite.
cute.
I watched it this weekend twice. It was on TV somewhere, and I watched it twice. It is such a good.
Well, now that we know you like chick flicks, we'll be right back.
Hey guys, welcome to Raw TV. Today we are talking about some of the things that are off limits. So let's start off the panel and let's talk about tattoos and piercings. Why do you guys think there's such a negative stigma with tattoos and piercings?
I just got another one this weekend.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's
She got a good one on her foot.
Yeah.
It was cute. What does it say again?
It says "worthy to be loved" written on my foot.
that's
so.
a good tattoo.
That's good.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that maybe it's like tradition. Like the
Yeah.
other generation, it was just so like my parents. I grew up like just so against it. Like
Yeah.
that's just something you just don't even talk about. You just don't have that. And if you have that, it's like my pastor had it, and that was when he was in the world. You know, it was like, oh,
He's not in the world
I was like,
anymore.
oh, I saw that pastor has a tattoo, and my mom's like, well, that's before he was saved. I was like,
Because it's
oh, okay.
My mom, I felt like
So
my
was
mom was
that.
against tattoos too, but there was a time period she was just like, you know what, I want to get one. She ended up getting 4 of them. She has like one right there, and one on each
What do
calf.
they
And they're-
say?
That's hilarious.
They don't say anything. One's like a cheetah, like amongst like bushes. One's like a rose.
Stuff you say on our
one's
show
like-
about your mom.
I know you're.
I
can't wait for your mom to
Okay,
see
by
you.
far, I love my mom more than anyone else in the world.
Aw.
Respect to my dad, though. Word to my dad. Let's watch some Cubs sometime.
But like saying that your mom like changed her mind
Yeah.
all of a sudden
Yeah.
and then got 4 tattoos. I think like the same pastor all of a
Yeah.
sudden now, that church I used to go to, now they all the pastors have tattoos. It's
Yeah.
like
It's like
I don't
the trend now among
mentality.
pastors.
Yeah, it changed. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it is. I think it's becoming more socially acceptable too.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that is. Like, I'm not sure what has shifted because, yeah, like, I think, like, even 15 years ago, it was like, you were in prison
Nothing
if
you
you
even
had a
thought about.
tattoo,
Yeah.
you know? So it's like, I'm
just
not
got
sure
out
what
of
has
prison
changed.
if you
Yeah,
had a
exactly. So,
Exactly.
I think a lot of the conservatives, like definitely, oh my goodness, I was born in Texas, and so every church down there is real, conservative. So that's how my mom raised me, and so I think I noticed like a lot of the conservatives, they still have like this. Like an Old Testament kind of fundamental
yeah.
like
Right.
mentality, and so I was looking up like verses the other day. I was like, you know what? I have a tattoo. Maybe I should be more aware if tattoos are wrong or right. Like I got Jesus in Hebrew on my wrist.
I mean, is that wrong?
What's with the
I
Hebrew
know.
tattoos?
I don't know.
it's a thing.
That's
I
what I
don't
want to
why.
know.
It's the new cool trend apparently.
Yeah.
Started it.
Of course Jake started
Yeah,
it.
but I just feel like the only thing I saw was out of Leviticus was the don't cut yourself and like that. But then right after it was like the don't eat red meat and stuff. And how many of us
Well, that's
actually
Old
follow
Testament,
that,
so I don't feel like it's necessarily applicable to us.
Yeah.
You know what I
Well-
mean?
Which is true. That's what
Well-
the tough part is, because now we're in the New Testament and then people like to take that to a whole
Yeah.
other level.
Because the culture
So-
was completely different too.
That's true.
so
That is
that's something
true.
you have to
But
remember.
Jesus did say he didn't come to abolish the law. So I think there's still like is a level of
That's
Old
true.
Testament that is in there because some of our like the most like influential verses still come from the Old Testament. Psalms, like almost
Right,
every one of
yeah.
our worship songs are written from Psalms.
Yeah,
I have
I mean,
a
we're
tattoo
not.
of Psalms.
Yeah, we're not saying the Old Testament
Back
is
to
wrong.
tattoos and piercings.
What about piercings though? That's different. And you know what I've heard like
Yeah.
about a lot to do with piercings. This is also like an old school, maybe even Old Testament thing. Was back in the day, pagans had piercings, and that's how they were identified with
Yeah.
the piercings, with even with like ankle bracelets and stuff like
Yeah.
that. If you were like a
Really?
gypsy,
Ankle bracelets?
yeah, my mom wouldn't let me wear that. She was so my mom isn't conservative
like a
she
gypsy,
was.
sweetheart,
she
cover
used to
up.
be. But no, yeah, she'd be like, those gypsies wore those, and I was like,
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
like I couldn't wear that. Now she doesn't care. But it's just
yeah.
like that other mentality
Wow.
because the pagans and different like cults wore
Yeah.
all these piercings. That's why people were against it then. But nowadays it's accepted and it's not seen that way. So
What about you? Are you for piercings?
I mean, obviously
careful,
by these
Jacob.
ginormous holes in my ear.
Is there ever a stereotype? Like, do people ever look at you and judge you for
Yes.
having piercings?
what happened?
Sorry. Yes. I don't know about
Not
you.
for me.
Yes, like it. I was at Starbucks once, and like I look a little more clean cut now, but like when colorful hair and all of that, and like I had my Monroe pierced, and I remember walking into Starbucks, and I'm super nice to everybody. Like I make a point to be like really
is.
nice to
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah, I have to
It's
and
true.
I walk in, and this guy looks at me and literally just goes,
Oh my
like shakes his head in like disgust, and I just went.
What
Like
did
I was
you
like
have?
horrified.
Sure it
I
wasn't
don't
the
know.
food?
That's
I mean,
terrible.
what?
Are you sure it wasn't the food he was like going on about?
At Starbucks? I mean,
It's Starbucks. Come on.
I thought
but-
that was when you were waitressing. Never mind.
Oh no! I mean, I don't know. Like we get bad looks like all the time. Like, and now that I'm all blonde, like I don't get as bad of looks.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Was it
really?
for your Monroe when you had your Monroe?
I think so. Like my Monroe and like my colorful hair and like I miss it. I like can't have it anymore because of like health reasons. But like I miss it, and I really hate being judged based on that because
Yeah.
my heart, like I don't know, I express myself in that way because I feel like it's truly like a part of me. Like I love color and I love fun things.
Yeah, it's like
and
your style, it's a part of your
yeah.
personality.
It's artistic
You know?
almost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it really makes me upset that like people will judge you based
Well,
on
why do you
things
think
like that.
people judge other people that have piercings or tattoos? Where does that come from? We talked a little bit about it, but why do people still do that today?
I think a lot of them are like of the like older generations, like
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
parents and like grandparents' generation.
Yeah, that is true. But
There's-
don't you tend to
there's still,
think
like-
like if you see someone with like a lot of tattoos, your
Yeah,
first
okay,
guess is
then-
Yeah.
they're probably not a Christian. Like I know that, I can admit that sometimes we always prejudge people whether we want to think it or not. But sometimes when you just see somebody, you make
Yeah.
these these thoughts,
Prejudgments.
of them, and you're just like, oh well, they're not a Christian because they've got tons of tattoos all over them. You know, it's just stupid when you think about it. But
the crowd that I used to hang out with, or I still do hang out with, like some of my close friends or other friends, they have sleeves full, but they like make sure like every artwork is about like God and just like what they've been through within their life, or they'll even put some of their own creativity in there. Like, this is how God created me, and this is what I love now. And honestly, like I wouldn't mind getting more tattoos or anything like that.
Why do you think God said to like not mark your bodies? That's something that
I think that in the like
wondered.
passages that Jake was referring to, like a lot of it was like you were saying, pagan stuff and like celebrating like the dead and that kind of thing. Which I mean, I think it's different in our culture today, but like I think that's one of the reasons. Like why.
Because sometimes I think maybe God thinks like, don't mess with what I've created. You know, because we always like try to change our appearance or change ourselves. So is that like messing with thinking God didn't do a good job? I've always wondered that.
Well, we'll hold that thought real quick. We'll be right back after this food for thought.
Hey everyone, I'm Chelsea Webb here with your food for thought. As we can tell from the panel discussion, they definitely have some modern views on how they feel on subjects such as smoking, drinking, and tattoos. But my question is, what impact or influence will the decisions that we make today affect those who are growing up 10 years from now? Have we become so self-indulged with our own desires that we become to misshaping the Bible in order to fit our own pleasures? I don't know what the answer to this question is, but this is definitely something to think about.
Well, we were just talking about tattoos and piercings and how controversial those are, but to go just a little deeper, how about profanity and alcohol? That's a tough situation there.
I feel like a lot of us, we kind of agreed with the tattoos and piercings, but I feel like we disagree
This
when it comes to this point.
Why is profanity off limits? Let's start there.
I feel like it's common knowledge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you hear cuss words, I mean, even people that are in the world rate movies differently if there's cussing in it.
Yes.
So obviously they recognize that there's something wrong. With it.
But one thing I wonder is where does this even originate? Like whoever said that that's a bad word.
Yeah.
Like that
I really
is
don't
something
know.
that you don't say. Like
it's just a culture thing.
Yeah, it's weird because I know whenever I first got here, our residential director, I was talking with him and we were talking about, I think they were talking about how they almost started swearing because of an incident. So I was like, really? And we almost got into a discussion. She's like, yeah, let's not discuss whether or not cussing's bad or not. Like, so like we got into this whole, like there are actually people like, and even through in schools and stuff that are Christians that honestly don't think cussing is, or swearing
I've heard
or profanity is
professors or people that have actually like spoken at a chapel or at a church,
I know.
cuss on stage.
It's crazy. You've seen,
And that
I've heard
shocks me.
people
That
swear
does.
behind the pulpit,
Yeah.
but one guy I heard swear he was Irish. So that
Okay.
swear
They
word
have
that he said
different
was not a swear word to
culture.
him.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Okay, I'm not really offended by bad language. Like I'm not. It doesn't bother me. We all watch movies with it. We all listen to music with it. It's like, I mean, I'm not gonna like be like, well, I'm not gonna say it, but I'm gonna listen to everybody else in the world say it. Like, it doesn't bother me. Like, is it good? I don't know, but I'm not offended by it. So I don't really care, like one way or another. Like, if you say something, I'm not gonna be like, like I don't.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Whatever. Like,
Yeah,
I
but
think
you know
that-
what's funny though? How we always make like words that sound just like it or
Exactly.
close to it,
Like, how
to
is that
replace
any
it. So it's like
different?
in our head we're still feeling the same way.
Yeah.
We just
That
choose another
drives
word.
me
Or
crazy.
now like we don't even just say that, we just say the letter like, like
So is
saying
it just
the
as
F
bad?
letter.
Because
Yeah.
honestly,
it's the same thing.
Sorry, I decided that.
That drives me insane. Why do people do that? Just say the word. Say it.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
if you're gonna like,
Just say it.
well,
Just say it.
we won't say the fake words, but like it really
I'm just
is like
gonna
it's the
try.
same to me. Like
yeah,
I
it's like
don't
the
know.
same mentality.
Yeah,
same
honestly,
thing.
honestly, whenever I look at it, I think, what are your motives behind it? Like, what are you saying? Like, are you using it
Yeah.
to curse something? Are you using it to put it down?
To be
or are you
funny?
Just, are you
Yeah.
using it to be flamboyant and whatever you want to say? You know what I mean? Like,
I just like love how some people use the F word as like in their sentence. It's just kind of like
Seriously.
it sounds like honestly it just sounds to me like I don't get super offended by it just because I am surrounded by it a
know,
lot,
yeah.
but to me it just sounds like they're kind of like ignorant, like not as educated because
Yeah.
they can't even like use other words to describe how they're feeling.
Yeah,
whether
that's
they're
the
not,
one.
whether they
That's the
are or
most
not,
powerful
it
one.
just sounds like to me like just
Yeah.
Well,
you
see,
talk normal.
it actually offends me more if it's a Christian who says the word.
Really?
Yeah, more
yeah.
than someone who's not saved, because if
Yeah.
someone who isn't saved says that, they don't know better. That's
It's
their
true,
culture.
yeah.
That's how they've grown up.
Yeah.
That's the
It
lifestyle
does
that
kind
they've
of
chosen.
like set you off, like, ooh, oh,
But if it's
I
a
wasn't
Christian-
expecting
It
that.
just
if
doesn't
you're a
sound
Christian.
professional
Right.
to me. Whether even you're in a professional,
Right.
like supposed to be professional, you just sound just like I don't
Yeah.
even know.
But I've
Couldn't
seen some
explain
like
it.
managers and like residents come out and try to like one-on-one talk. I'm sorry,
Oh yeah,
man,
my
I
managers
don't
do it all the
blah, blah,
time, but it
this,
kind of
you know,
helps me like lose respect for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
So-
why is it
sense.
wrong? Let's answer that question. Why is profanity wrong? Is there scripture that
it
says
wrong?
that it is?
Yeah,
Like, I
well,
mean-
Is it wrong?
There are probably more scriptures about watching your mouth than maybe not drinking or
That is
especially
true.
not
God
piercings.
does talk
And
Yeah.
about the tongue
He
and
talks
how
about
powerful it is.
power in the tongue. Like out of the same mouth, you bless someone, you can bring curses on someone.
And
things
usually
like
the
that.
curses are the
Right.
profanity, and that's
Yeah.
what they probably originated as curses
Mm-hmm.
upon people. So
Let's talk
maybe-
about alcohol for a minute. What do you
Yeah.
guys think? What's your
Mm.
view on that?
That's a tough one because
Well,
different denominations have different feelings about alcohol.
All right, well, I
Right.
think that
Go
it's
ahead.
wrong. And, well, I think we would all agree that it's wrong to get drunk, right?
yes.
Trying to get crazy, I think.
Okay.
Some people get
Moderate.
drunk. Some people get drunk off like one glass of wine, whereas somebody else doesn't. You know what I'm saying?
Well, do you
So-
think it's wrong to get drunk, period?
I don't know.
If like
Well, if
say
it-
it was like their first glass or something. Personally, I in my own life I try to abstain from anything like that, but I do not want to
Yeah.
hold that same standard over someone else's head just because that may not be what God has called them to.
But
ul-
there's
in
scripture
their
for
own-
it, though. There's
yeah, there
scripture that
is very
says
right script.
not to get drunk.
Right. And so, like, to me, in my own personal life, I think before I can start telling, hey, give up this, give up that, I have to make sure I can keep an account in my own life.
Yeah, I think a moderation is key in
Right.
that situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what if someone actually struggles, like they cannot drink without getting drunk? Would you
Then they
suggest keep
probably
drinking?
shouldn't.
You should probably
Yeah,
throw out
if they
every
can't
beer in your,
control, if you don't
fridge.
have, if you don't have self-control in a certain area of life, it's probably best to just stay away from it.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
I
in
think that
respect for yourself and respect for
If there's
God,
like a
just to do that
family
for yourself.
history, like we were talking earlier, like if alcoholism runs in your
Yeah.
family,
Yeah.
it is I
Probably
feel like
not a
that's a
good idea.
generational curse. Like that is
Yeah.
not a good idea. Like, but
Yeah.
that's the same for anything. I feel like if there's a history of that in your
There's-
family,
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
you need to
definitely
be
history
able
in
to
my
break
family.
that. You
Yeah.
know, so.
Yeah.
But I don't think anyone starts drinking thinking, ooh, some people do, but I'm gonna get drunk. I'm going to start drinking so that I get drunk. And that I become an
In high school.
alcoholic.
In college,
Alcoholic.
people pretty much do that. For
Well, yeah,
that.
but they don't want to become alcoholics.
What do
Does
you
that
want to
make
be when you
sense?
grow up?
Yeah,
An
I don't think
alcoholic?
anyone wants to become super dependent on something, but that's the problem with alcohol. It is something that people
Can.
So you
will
should stay away from
resort
it then,
to.
right?
Yeah.
If it's something that can completely devastate your life, because my grandfather was an alcoholic, and so I don't know why you're laughing.
Like this is not funny, Jacob.
No, I'm sorry. I
He's
just-
thinking about something
thought-
else.
I thought it was-
Anyway, it can be devastating.
Yeah.
So is
No, I've
it
heard that a lot.
alcohol something we should completely stay away from if it can devastate
No, because you
something?
don't need to have a fear of something. Like it's like guns. Okay, well, a gun can kill someone, but if you know how to use it, like it's not
This is
bad.
true. Yeah.
Like I am fully in support of
your car
owning
could
guns.
kill you if
Exactly.
you have
Like
an
you don't need to
accident.
have a fear of something. You need to have a healthy knowledge and respect.
But shouldn't
for
you use
something.
wisdom though? Fear and wisdom
Yeah,
is different.
definitely. No,
Yeah.
definitely.
That's
use
why
wisdom.
you should use wisdom, and
Right.
it's like about each person. Like for your conviction, there
Yeah.
are reasons why you think that you shouldn't drink, or if you're in an organization that says you shouldn't and you
Yeah,
sign it,
you
then
need to
okay.
respect your authority. This is really good, guys. I'm glad that we're
Yeah.
talking about it, and we'll be
Yeah.
right back after Candace with For or Against.
I absolutely believe that drinking any alcohol around people who would be considered my weaker brother or sister, or around children when they're forming their ideas about these things is wrong.
It's 21, you can't drink, and yet you can drive when you're so young. And you know, where is the difference? You can kill somebody when you're driving. And so why can't you be responsible enough? If you're responsible enough to drive, why can't you be responsible enough to make that decision to drink at a younger age, at 18 or whatever?
I like drinking.
I mean, I have had a drink in my time, yeah, and I've been out of it. But then you learn your lesson when you're so ill after having a good drink. You don't go down that path again if you've got any sense.
Well, what's the purpose of drinking? To enhance the meal, or to enjoy a specific beverage, or just to get blitzed? If it's just to get blitzed, you're missing the whole point.
These buses now that go around and they just work with people who are drunk. They don't, and so they don't go to the hospital. They deal with them in the street in this bus. So,
I mean, I have friends who are paramedics, and unfortunately, when they do pick up drunk people, they are sick all over the ambulance, and it's the paramedics that have to clear it all up. So it's ridiculous, really.
When you're intoxicated now, there's a loss of control. That drink, that alcohol has now control of you. And anything else that has control of you or that you're relying on in any way takes control away from not just myself, but the Lord in my life.
Well, we've just been talking about all these things that are off limits in Christianity, whether it be, tattoos, piercings, but what about setting limits for yourself? Should we even set limits for ourselves?
Yeah, definitely.
But why?
I think God calls us to. He calls us to a higher standard of living as Christians.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to bring up this verse in 1 Corinthians. And it's 1 Corinthians, I haven't pulled it up on my Bible app. It is 1 Corinthians 10, 23 through 24. It says, I have the right to do anything you say, but not everything is beneficial. I have the right to do anything, but not everything is constructive. No one should seek their own good with the good of others. And I think that has a lot to do with, setting limits for yourself, because God, He gave us a choice. When Jesus came, He opened the door for us to have freedom.
There's free will for sure.
I think I've heard people misuse that verse in the sense of, I remember one guy talking about if I need to reach the alcoholics, then I got to go to the bars and drink with them. And I think
I've heard that so much.
I've heard that.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there's obviously a limit on that verse.
Well, I think that's what has to do but do good to others. How is that going to affect somebody else?
I feel like
sometimes you don't.
People at the bar, they think, oh, the people at the bar, they won't feel so defensive towards me because I'm drinking with them. You know what I mean? They can relate.
It's not about becoming a part of the world.
Right,
we have to be in the world, but we have to be out of it.
So
That's how
let's just
people are going to
clarify
be
that.
drawn to Jesus.
Yeah.
It's not us becoming one of them. It's showing that we have hope and we have life because of Him, not because we need this world.
Yeah.
And so I think it goes back to, being mastered by something. If you're mastered by alcohol, if you're mastered by tattoos, whatever that means, even though, we don't really have a problem with it, then I think that's when you need to take a step back.
What do you guys think about, I've heard this a lot, the issue of drinking in public as a Christian, so in front of people that are not Christians. How do you think that affects what they think of you and think of Christianity?
I think
sorry.
I think you need to be careful. And I know there's another scripture, and I can't quote it, but it's basically don't do something that's going to offend your brother.
Yeah.
So if you're doing something that is offensive, I wouldn't drink around Candace because I know that she's not okay with that.
Right.
But my family is okay with that. So having wine with my mom that, I don't think that that's bad at all. But you do need to be careful about how you present yourself to the world. And I think that goes for anything, not drinking, but everything,
Yeah, definitely, because it's not all about you. We always tend, in our generation, in our society, we always think it's all about us. And if it's not affecting anybody else, it seems to on the outside, then it's okay. But it actually does, whatever we do really does affect.
It's not even about just offending someone too. It's about being tempting to them too. If it's an alcoholic that you're trying to witness to, and if that's a struggle for them, and they see you as a Christian drinking and showing that you need alcohol, then that's going to be tempting for them, and you're not going to show that you can have life outside of that.
I feel like you should really definitely show be what you're trying to encourage other people to be. So in the sense of alcohol, I definitely, for myself, I think if I even started drinking anything, then I think it could eventually, knowing my self-control, I got to stay as far away from the edge as possible. So for me, I hold true to verses in Leviticus 10 when it says that the priests were to abstain from alcohol, not only for themselves and to be holy, but they were supposed to be set apart, and so that the people could see what's the difference between holy and unholy.
Yeah,
and so
really
for me,
interesting point.
if I really want to, I feel bind like this alcoholism in my life or something, or in my family that's already been through. I want to bind it up now before I can start ministering to other people about it.
I love that you just said that, because as Christians, we're called to be set apart.
Yeah.
And so my question is, why? Why drink? Why do these things that are a part of the world when we don't have to? We have free will. We have the freedom to live without those things. All we need is Christ, and that's our hope. That's our life.
That's
you know,
true.
so it's like,
I think
why?
it's about discipline too. I think it's about we discipline ourselves in other like we discipline ourselves at work and then getting things done. And it's sometimes we're like, oh, discipline. It's such a hard thing when it comes to alcohol, when it comes to any of these other things that are
It's a
off
big
limits.
thing that keeps, like,
but it's
non-believers
in every
away, too.
area of life, even in the secular world. It's
Yeah.
about discipline. You know,
True.
we need to remember that. And then another thing that I kind of thought why I would set limits for myself is out of loyalty and love for God. I think it's about your heart. You know.
Yeah.
Like, you have to think about that God is looking at your heart in the end and how you're feeling about it and your motive for doing it.
Right.
You know,
If
it's
you
really
drink-
about motive.
Yeah, if you drink, you're not going to hell. If you have
No.
a tattoo, you're not
Right.
condemned.
It's really about your
It is
motive.
a heart
Right,
issue.
right. I think a big thing that helped me realize this kind of stuff is there was a quote that said that holiness does not get us to Jesus, but
Yeah.
Jesus gets us to holiness.
Yeah.
So we have to realize that none of our striving and look at me, I'm so impure. God is not proud of a self-sufficient man. Instead, he's willing and loving towards the man who's willing to say, I need God. You know what I mean?
Yeah, let me ask you guys this. Have you ever had to set limitations in your own life? Maybe it's not alcohol, tattoos, piercings, or whatever, but just anything else that you feel like has somewhat mastered you, so you've had to cut that off and draw a limitation?
Yeah, I think everybody has
Swearing
that
for sure.
in their life.
In high school, no,
Yeah.
I'll be honest. In high school, man,
Yeah.
I just wanted to. I was longing for acceptance. So for me, I had to even stop saying like the quoted like the short words, you know,
Right.
like heck and stuff like that. Just things like that. I would have to like stop.
substitute words
yeah,
that we always
substitute
talk
words,
about.
That's
Yeah.
what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had to stop doing that from like high school, so that I didn't carry it into ministry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely do. I mean, I can't think of anything specifically right now, like off the bat, thinking about it, but just it reminds me of times when I've like just been fasting or praying
Yeah.
extra hard about something that just seems to take over my mindset or take over, you know, my life in a certain area. It's important because you don't want anything to take over.
Yeah.
Because it'll become an addiction, it'll become a habit that just brings you down and keeps you from what you're supposed to be in life.
Yeah.
So I
What do you
think
think's
that
the best way of keeping you like separate though? How do you keep yourself separate? Is it just through reading a Bible? Is it?
I think just the presence of God. It's not
Yeah.
just about sitting there and reading scripture. I think it's a mix of being in his presence, praying,
That
Yeah.
relationship.
reading the word too. It's that relationship. And as you cling to him, you'll find you don't need those other things.
It's true. I noticed that times in my life when I'm more aware of making sure that I'm in the presence of God, I just don't desire to do anything,
Yeah.
or you're just kind of not even tempted to do those
Your,
things.
your desires completely change. You
Yeah.
don't even
Yeah.
long for those things.
I think also like if you know that there's something that you struggle with that's been a stronghold in your life, having like people and friends in your
Unity,
life that
big
know
thing.
that
Yeah,
and can keep you
accountability and
accountable.
help
like
you.
not to throw
Oh,
it
yeah.
in your face because that can be a thing, but like to be like, hey, just want to let you know, like this is what I see and I want to help
Because
you.
they
Right.
care.
Yeah.
They love you.
exactly. Yeah.
Well, this has been a great conversation,
It really
you guys.
is.
It
It's
Yeah.
been awesome. Now let's check out What's the Word with Pastor Andrew Gard.
So on the show, we've been talking about things that are off limits, and we've talked about things like swearing and piercing and tattoos and alcohol. And whenever you're talking about these things, I think it's really important to see where you come down on an important question as it pertains to how you see theology. And that question is, can we only do the things that God allows in Scripture, or can we do everything that God doesn't strictly forbid? And I think that's the tough question when you're addressing kind of issues such as these. And I think a couple things to remember is that one, in doctrine, it's black and white. There are doctrine stances that we must take, but in real life, things tend to be a little more fuzzy and gray. And I want to look to Galatians chapter 2, verse 20. It says this, it says that I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. And the life that I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me. I think the important thing to always remember is, are we controlled by the flesh or are we controlled by the Spirit? And that's a real key thing to remember when having these discussions.
Thank you guys for watching, and I hope the panel raised some questions for you and even answered some.
Don't forget to like us on Facebook for more show information, and check out our new iTunes U for free podcasts. And as always, don't forget to
Live it raw.